back following a loss to another A10 foe in George Mason, 74-65. That was the Owls' lowest point total of the year. But now they're back home in a gym where they have a dominating home court advantage. Your officials are Courtney Green, Byron Jarrett, and Bird Smith. And in their home whites, the Owls control the opening tip. Here's Isaiah Elohim. One shot, one bucket for the Owls.
And Isaiah Elohim has an advantage over Charles right there. He's stronger right to the rim.
Starting five for Mark Schmidt's Bonnies. 4 of those 5 have started all 7. Bowen, Simmons, Charles, and Mitchell. Here's Frank the Tank going to work. Misses his first shot. And the Owls push the other way.
Yeah, get used to that. The ball's going to go inside to Frank. Mitchell
Stolen away by Simmons. Caden Charles opens the scoring for the Bonnies with a 3.
St. Bonaventure, they won't be shy, but pace is critically important in this game, as we know that FAU at home, especially at home, they love to get up and down. They love to run.
Here's a catch and release off the mark from Vanderpool. And Desante Bowen, one of the quintessential pass-first point guards.
And right there, passing the ball into Frank Mitchell. That's how strong he is, a jump ball. Good collapsing defense by FAU. They're expecting the ball to go low time and time again to 0-0 in the brown jerseys today for St. Bonaventure. He's so strong, Rich. He's got bear claws where he catches the ball and just makes plays.
He is a beast of a man. 16 points, 10 rebounds, Mark. There's only 4 players in all of college basketball who have those numbers.
Right now, subject to change, he's my favorite player in college basketball because he plays with an edge.
And it was tipped, so no backcourt violation. 10 on the shot clock for the Bonnies. Inside again, blocked by Pintalon, and they're going to call a foul.
You can see that FAU has their challenges inside to defend this big, strong dude inside. Pintalon comes across with the foul. Pintalon, comes across with the foul right there, and that's why Mitchell's so good. He catches everything, he attacks the rim. It's a strength war inside, and Frank the Tank wins a lot of those strength wars.
And he makes the first one, much to the pleasure of his head coach, Mark Schmidt, 2-time A10 Coach of the Year. Played for Dr. Tom Davis at Iowa, coached under Skip Prosser at Xavier, and now a fixture in Olean, New York. 19th year at St. Bonaventure.
Always exceeds expectations. St. Bonaventure picked 10th in the tough Atlantic 10. If they're the 10th best team, the Atlantic 10 is going to have multiple bids.
There's an offensive rebound by Devin Williams, the UCLA transfer.
Love the ball movement.
Here's Vanderpool again, going for his 2 feet in the paint. Devin Vanderpool, first 2 of the night.
Devin Vanderpool has put in the work. This is a guy a year ago averaged a couple points a game. Now he's averaging 16 points a game, number 22 in white, one of the most improved players in America.
Nice bounce pass, Mitchell to Bowen.
Carlisle lost vision right there. Total defensive breakdown by FAU. Let's think about St. Bonaventure. They will beat you on hard cuts to the rim.
What does FAU like to do offensively?
You know, I love what they do, Rich, offensively. First of all, in their full court situation. But in half court, the ball rarely stalls. They do dribble penetrate, but they don't over dribble and penetrate. That's what I love about John Jacobs.
And that's exactly what John Jacobs wants to do. He says his goal is to average 90 points a game, and that's by getting everybody involved.
And be about a 60% assist team. We'll see how they do today. The goal is 48 to 52. He wants to stretch that to 60% assists on made baskets.
Here's Buddy Simmons, number 8 in Brown, the smallest player on the floor, plays with some of the biggest heart out there in all of college basketball. Here's Simmons, high arcer, gets it to go with a friendly roll.
Now, Buddy Simmons II is my size, 5'10" and a half on a really good day, but he creates such great space that he could go ahead and pogo and back up pogo a little bit with that fadeaway.
Now 4 of the 5 Bonnies have scored already in the early going. They have an early 9-4 lead. Let's take a look at Buddy Simmons, Mark.
Yeah, Buddy Simmons the second. He's got great bounce to his game. 2-foot jump stop right there, under control, and a guy that knows where the rim is all the time. You get into a late game situation, you've got Simmons the second, and you've got Mitchell inside. A great coach like Mark Schmidt going to leverage that all day long against you late game.
Devin Williams goes to the line and calmly nails the first of 2. And now our first sub of the game. That's going to be number 25 in white, Nico Moretti.
Moretti, a pass-first international point guard. A guy that stayed here when a lot of others left. He stayed with the program, gave John Jacobs some stability. Number 25 in white today for FAU.
1 for 2 for Williams. Here's Joe Grahovic, 32 in brown. We'll be telling you his story in just a little while.
One of the best stories in college basketball, period.
You said it. Bowen inside. Mitchell had it blocked from behind. Good interior defense by the Owls.
Yeah, just a swarm of white jerseys every time Mitchell catches the basketball. Well executed defensively in the John Jacobs game plan.
Mitchell nearly picked it off from Williams. And now the Owls will reset. Williams working on Grahovic. Pintalan for 3. He's got that range, but he's 0 for 2 so far. That one blocked out of bounds by Frank Mitchell. We have our first time out of the afternoon. When we come back, more on Devin Vanderpool and the fact that this game is a family reunion.
He was able to leverage his father's understanding of his own game. And they would start at 6 o'clock every morning on the court, not get up at 6 o'clock, on the court every morning. And through repetition and his father's confidence in him, he has completely rebuilt his game to one of the most feared guards in the American.
Dad David now an assistant with the Washington Wizards in the NBA. Pintalan, left hand, no. Good defense by the Bonnies. And here comes Simmons. Simmons got into the paint, but had it blocked by Devin Williams. Owls want to run. And Simmons nearly picked it off.
Now, Simmons has a great motor, never gives up on a play. Make one mistake, you don't make 2, he's active.
That one almost picked off again. It's going to stay FAU ball, but good hands by Andrew Osasui, who's just checked in for Mark Schmidt.
Yeah, Osasui has a chance to be really, really good. Keeps getting better. You can see the development. He runs the floor really well. Another guy that catches the ball pretty well. And defensively, he's really active with that wingspan.
Number 3, Daniel Eboniwe has checked in as well for St. Bonaventure, as has one to watch for, number 1 in brown, Ilya Irmakov. He's a Russian sniper, excellent three-point shooter who's really been coming on the last couple of games for them. Simmons, transition 3 off the mark, 1 and done for St. Bonaventure.
Really good defensive transition by St. Bonaventure. Everybody in this building knows FAU loves to get out and go.
Here's Maxime Logie getting his first burn of the afternoon as well, 77 in white. And the bump on Agabuni.
Now, Rich, Nico Moretti is a backup point guard. He can be one of the better backup point guards in the American. Why? He's herky-jerky. He finds ways to get you on your heels and then your toes and back on your heels again. He's a great assist guy. And that's a walk that wasn't called.
Here's Moretti. And he misses from close range. A wide open 3 that maybe he was thinking wasn't going to be all that wide open. He's one of the returners for John Jacobs from last year. Jacobs considers him like a coach on the floor. He goes right back to the rim. Misses, but the follow by Logie.
Yeah, Moretti draws all those defenders at the rim, and Logie just steps to the backside of the rim. Well executed by big number 77.
FAU to within 2 with under 14 to go in the first half. Ten on the timer. And that's a nice looking jump shot. The 2-point assassin. Bonaventure with 2.
Bonaventure was 5 for 6 from 3 in the last win over East Carolina for St. Bonaventure. He has a really weird stroke in some ways. The ball, it doesn't go backspin, it goes sideways.
Vanderpool, no. Logie, yes.
Boy, Logie's so good on the offensive glass. He understands his role coming off the bench to provide a spark on the backside glass. Well done.
Both teams have played a few games over the Thanksgiving holiday. We're expecting to see substitutions aplenty in this game to get some fresh legs out there.
Now, St. Bonaventure, their 3rd game in 6 days on the road. Maxime Logie, watch him, instinctively trails the ball to the backside of the rim. Just does such a good job, a nose for the ball. You love guys you can bring off the bench to bring energy and they know what their role is. And for Logie, it's go stuff it on the offensive glass.
Now he's going to have a little bit of a harder time with that with Frank Mitchell back in the game. Zero and Brown back on for Mark Schmidt. 2 big dudes in the middle. Here's Elohim back on the floor. Drive, kick, Moretti. Moretti spins and still can't get it to go. He's 0 for 3 in the early
Watch
go.
Mitchell run, sprints. Gotta love that kid.
And you gotta feed the big man when he
gotta
runs that
give it
hard.
to him. You gotta give it back to him. Mike Simmons will find a way.
Irmakov.
Dump it. There it is.
Mitchell, left hand. Too strong off the window, but he gets it back. Irmakov for 3. Off to the right, the good follow by Bonaventure, and he has an early 4.
Yeah, Bonaventure is a guy that's going to be an X factor for this team. He came up big, as I mentioned, against East Carolina. Today, coming up big early in this game as well.
Yeah, only 8 minutes played in his first 4 games. He was a DNP in 3 of those 4, but coming back slowly from a foot injury, he's been a contributor.
Well, he's had a thumb injury that he's had to deal with. It's affected his shot in some ways, but now he's healthy.
St. Bonaventure's led from Jump Street, 13-9 on the road in Paradise. Podcast I would make you finish before you left.
You know what? I like to have my cake and eat it too also, like Lane Kiffin. Now, I'm going to be sitting right here next to you, pal. I'm not leaving you. Too much fun.
Carlisle got it off before the buzzer, but misses, and here comes Irmakov.
Yeah, pace will change a little bit with Irmakov at the point. But again, another guy that can really load it up and shoot the 3-ball. You've got to extend against him.
Very clean game so far. Only 1 turnover between both teams and only 3 fouls committed. That's a nice up and under.
And Desante Bowen, 2-foot jump stop, crossover step, old school basketball.
He's got 4 points early. He's an assist guy. 25 dimes, only 8 turnovers so far this season. Pocket pass. And FAU can't cash it in.
Now, Logie has to learn how to finish those plays. He's athletic enough. Game gets a little too fast for him sometimes.
Bowen off the window. How about Desante Bowen? Back-to-back buckets.
Had 10 points against East Carolina, went 6 for 6 from the free throw line, so he does get to the rim. He does draw contact. It's a good win for the Bonnies against East Carolina, and an American brother to FAU.
Elohim off the mark. The shot's not falling. They looked for Frank Mitchell. Couldn't find him off the hands.
So when you've been on the road for 6 days and played 3 games, you need somebody to come off the bench and do something that maybe is a little bit different, a little bit spectacular, and Desante Bowen right now is that guy. He, again, played very well in the win against East Carolina, carrying that over now to Boca Raton.
Moretti, the lob.
Finish that one.
That's a high percentage shot.
Game wasn't too fast for him there.
Well, FAU knows where their bread is going to be buttered. They're 0 for 7 from beyond the arc so far, but they're still within 6.
And usually their international players really fill it up from 3-lane. That hasn't happened so far.
Mitchell, face-up game. Working on Logie. And he is surrounded and blocked from behind. It's going to stay St. Bonaventure basketball with 9 on the clock.
Logie just goes right down the middle of the floor. It's just wide open. Good recognition and total defensive breakdown by St. Bonaventure.
Logie's been the lone bright spot. 3 for 4 from the field. The rest of the team, Mark, 2 for 16. Irmakov off the mark. Vanderpool, the rebound. There's Kanan Carlisle, back-to-back-to-back 20-point efforts for number 18 in white.
Well, they're trying to deny Carlisle the ball every chance they can. Here's Vanderpool.
Again, Logie again.
So, Rich, when you walk in the gym, if you're an NBA scout, the first guy you look at is Maxime Logie, because his body, his athleticism, his ability to catch a ball and finish a play. He is a freak athlete, and he's a guy that comes out of Lyon, France, was at Oregon State before. He's a perfect fit for John Jacobs. He runs well. He's coming off the bench for them, providing a spark, and you see his ability to finish with authority.
4 for 5 in the early going, all, as you would imagine, from close range. Can't finish the three-point play, but he gets his Owls to within 4.
If Maxime improves his internal motor and plays hard all the time, he'll play in the NBA.
Bowen directing traffic. Here's Amari Marshall. 7 on the timer for the Bonnies. And Bowen got in a little too deep with that bounce pass. It's another St. Bonaventure turnover. Actually checked that. It looks like it's going to stay St. Bonaventure basketball.
But Rich, it's a perfect call. You can't throw a bounce pass when you're 4 feet away from a big guy. He's got to catch it then in his shoelaces. That's a bad decision, bad pass.
Even those bear claws couldn't grab that.
Bear claws, that's right.
And there's Frank the Tank going to work. His first field goal of the game, he has 4.
Well, he's got that work ethic right there, just screaming out loud. He's a little bit upset with himself. He hadn't played better so far.
3's not falling. 0 for 8 for FAU so far. But the high percentage shots are going. Amar Mku with the first 2.
Yeah, normally a long defender, but they're a long offensive rebounder.
What else, analytics-wise, did John Jacobs tell us? Offensive rebound rate.
Yeah, it's those unscripted baskets that make FAU so dangerous. They get unscripted baskets, like Logie on the offensive glass, like the last possession on the offense against Momku, then this team is really hard to defeat.
Here's Carlisle. And some traffic on the wing, but there's the first 3 of the game for FAU and Devin Vanderpool.
Worked so hard on that shot.
50-50 ball, who wants it? It's gonna be a jump ball, and if so, it will be Florida Atlantic basketball after this timeout. 7:30 to go.
I can ever remember as we take a look at Maxime Logie, his impressive numbers early in this game. Louisville averages almost 97 points a game. They're number 3 in the country. NC State under Will Wade, they're averaging over 94 points a game, number 14 in the country. So many high majors scoring so many points. 32 teams average more than 90 points per game.
Why do you think
in November?
that is?
I think number one is that because of the transfers, not as many coaches have their defensive systems in completely, and also the number of Power 5 teams who have absolutely boat raced, non-Power 5 teams, they're winning those games at a 95% clip in non-conference play and beating those teams that don't have the same budgets by 22 points a game. The divide in talent between the Power 5 and everybody else is much wider than it's ever been in college basketball.
And yet we're looking at 2 teams here, FAU and St. Bonaventure, who will scrap and claw and are looking squarely at the idea of getting their conference to be a multi-bid league in the NCAA tournament.
Well, the Atlantic 10 has a legitimate shot at it. You just saw the Dayton Flyers. Did they look like an NCAA tournament team?
Absolutely.
And that's a really good ball club. There are so many good teams in the Atlantic 10 right now that it will be a multi-bid league when it's all said and done. But there's only going to be 3 leagues, I think, below the Power 5. The West Coast Conference, the Mountain West, the Atlantic 10. I think those are the 3 leagues that most likely can get a second or third bid in the NCAA tournament.
Of course, WCC featuring Gonzaga, St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, yep.
But this A10 with St. Bonaventure, VCU expected to be really good. Dayton.
George Mason and Tony Skin's done a great job there.
Yeah.
GW and Chris Caputo.
Look, FAU knows all about how good George Mason is. That was their last game, and it was a loss. Kanan Carlisle.
Well, the Atlantic 10 right now is 8-4 against the Americans straight up through the month of November.
That 3 especially satisfying for the Owls. Kanan Carlisle was 5 for his last 20 from 3 coming in.
But Rich Carlisle's been averaging over 20 points a game over his last 4. But it's been because of the volume of shots that he takes. But this is great news for John Jacobs. If Carlisle can start making that shot, along with Vanterpool, watch out for the Owls of FAU.
He had 24 against LMU, 22 in that loss against George Mason, averaging 22 plus in his last 3 games.
I'd look for Carlisle again. I'd just give him the basketball.
That one off the hands of Elohim, out of bounds.
You know, when a guy's going well and your top scorer, Carlisle, just makes a shot, I think you have to give him the ball in the next possession. You have to focus on that.
A fan of the heat check, you are.
I am, very much.
Here's Mitchell. Now Simmons with the floater. Off the mark. FAU looking to take their first lead since 2-0 at the start of this game. That's the first foul on 24 in Brown, Caden Charles.
Let's see if John Jacobs now calls Kanan Carlisle's number 18 with the ball. Let's see if he gets it back in a good offensive situation.
Transfer from Indiana, gets it across court to Elohim. Working on Charles. 10 on the timer for the Owls. And Vanterpool threw it away.
Yeah, went down to the corner in no man's land.
Here's Bowen. Picked off by Pintalon. It's a foot race to the hoop, and Pintalon throws it down. An and one opportunity for Xander Pintalon.
Yeah, and Joe Grahovic right here, number 32 in Brown. Look, gives a great effort here, but you can see that. That's the lack of playing. This kid did not play in high school really at all. And right there, that's one of the basketball IQ plays that he doesn't understand. Pintalon with the finish.
Xander Pintalon, a junior from Belgium. Although here at FAU, they call him a classroom freshman. It's his first time in the United States. He's 3 threes in 3 of their games so far this year. He's known more for his outside shooting. What I've seen from him is some extra feistiness that I didn't expect.
Yeah, Pintalon has always been a role player on all the club teams he's played for in Europe. Now he's got to go for being a role player to a go-to guy, and he's learning that as we watch him today.
3-point lead now for the Owls, their first lead since it was 2-0. Grahovic lost it.
Grahovic's coming out.
And a foul's going to be called on Buddy Simmons, his second.
Now, Grahovic made one mistake and then made 2. Tried to do too much here and coughs it up. And Grahovic, for his efforts, is going to sit on the bench right now.
That last foul is going to send Devin Vanterpool to the line.
You know,
First free throws of the day for him, 78% free throw shooter, and he misses the first. The third annual ACC-SEC Men's Basketball Challenge begins Tuesday night, and we have a must-see doubleheader on ESPN. Cam Boozer and number 4 Duke hosting the number 10 Florida Gators at 7:30 Eastern. Then a battle of blue bloods, Caleb Wilson and number 16 UNC taking on number 19 Kentucky at 9:30. Both games on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Both North Carolina and Kentucky lost to a tough Michigan State team by 16 and 17. Now those two teams have 6-1 and 5-2. Kentucky Wildcats and Mark Pope finding their way a little bit this week. Beat up two teams non-Power 5.
Charles attacks and gets it to go. Nice touch by Caden Charles off the window.
Caden Charles, the transfer from University of North Georgia, Dahlonega, Georgia, Division II program.
Took them to an Elite 8 last year. Vanderpool off the mark on the 3-ball. The leak out by Charles with the left hand. Back-to-back buckets by Caden Charles. He has 7.
Bowen with his head up. That's what you do as a point guard. Look up floor. Charles was wide open.
So another tie game, a close contest, much like we expected here. There's a 3 from Elohim, and John Jacobs says the ceiling of this team is how good Isaiah Elohim could be.
Well, he was pretty good right there. He's inexperienced, but he has such an upside. We're seeing that upside from deep.
Charles lost the handle, out of bounds. And we've got a foul on Devin Vanderpool. It'll be Bonnie's ball when we return. Mike Mitchell and this team in general of St. Bonaventure really values appreciation, don't they?
They really do, and it is a very selfless team, which is hard to find, but they recruit selfless players. You know, Adrian Wojnarowski, who obviously had a great run at ESPN as the general manager of this team, they look for special situation guys. They look for guys like Frank Mitchell, who didn't play high school basketball. And today, while he's 1 for 5 and has 4 points in this game, but look at the rebounds, the assists, and the blocks. This kid is all about winning, not about scoring. It's about winning, and it starts at the core of the St. Bonaventure program.
Achille Lunati, his first point of the afternoon from the free throw stripe. And he goes 1 for 2. Logie back on the floor, grabs the rebound. He's been the story of the first half for the Florida Atlantic Owls with 8 points. Owls made 5 of their last 6 from the field after starting ice cold. Seven on the timer. The hedge by Mitchell. Here come the Bonnies.
Smart ball moves.
Wide open look. And Abunaway cans the 3. He has 7. And a timeout called by Florida Atlantic.
Anus in the United States and Uranus in foreign.
Okay.
But it literally spins sideways. There's a weird spin to it, but it goes down. Unselfish basketball, and you learned something about Uranus today, too.
17 of Abunaway's 23 field goal attempts have come from beyond the arc, so he has that ability, and he showed it there. On whatever planet he's on. The follow is good. Amku with his second putback of the afternoon.
He's been active on the offensive glass, too. The athleticism for Florida Atlantic on the offensive glass. Second chance points has been a big stat for FAU in this game. Unscripted baskets.
That's really been saving John Jacobs' lunch so far against St. Bonaventure. Shots haven't necessarily been falling, but the offensive rebounding has been their best offense.
Well, I can think of one team in particular where it defines them. That's Houston. Houston Cougars under Kelvin Sampson, they always attack the offensive glass. They get so many of them.
Charles aggressive, and a foul called before the follow by Mitchell. That's going to be on Amku, his first. 9 offensive rebounds so far for Florida Atlantic.
Well, St. Bonaventure again trying to get to the rim, but that length inside, that interior length, the call's fouled. I think there's going to be a problem in the American because of that interior length.
Caden Charles, transfer from D2 North Georgia at the line. Hits the first one, gives him 8.
We talked about appreciation. This is a Division II kid that came here and appreciates everything. I mean, a flight that's chartered, meals that are delivered, all those things. He takes none of that for granted. He's so grateful to be at St. Bonaventure.
He leads all scorers right now with 9 points, giving the Bonnies a 1-point lead under 2 minutes to go in the first half.
St. Bonaventure now going to their zone in the half-court set.
Up and under. Elohim with another bucket, giving him 7.
That's called preparation from John Jacobs. They worked on that to attack the baseline. Just very well executed and understood what their game plan would be when the St. Bonaventure Bonnies go zone.
Here's Charles. Brunaway. And now Lenati chips in with a 3.
Again, third game in 6 days. You need somebody else to step up. That time, Lenati.
Just the 4th three-pointer of the season for the Italian. Pocket pass. And a little too much mustard on that from Williams to Elohim.
Good ball movement all the way through, and good recognition against the zone. Again, that's preparation. Dribble penetration, defense comes up, and you may take advantage of it. And then the Italian from downtown.
John Jacobs told us if we win the rebounding battle, we win the game. Right now, they're up by 3 in terms of rebounding margin, but they're down by 2. That one blocked. Third block of the game for Devin Williams. Amku transition. Good defensive transition by Abunaway. Hustling back to deflect that one out of bounds.
You know, as a coach, when you do have multiple games over a 6-day period, you look at that play, you say, we're fine. When you get that level of effort on the 6th day of a 3-game set on the road, you're just fine.
10-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Amku off the mark. Mitchell clears. And now the shot clock is off.
Mitchell with a great challenge of that shot. Look for Mitchell inside. 0-0 and Brown. We're going to go timeout. I wonder what Mark Schmidt's going to look for.
We'll step aside for just 30 seconds. Don't go anywhere.
Knock down the 3-ball. Watch Mitchell. 0-0 and Brown. And now the chess match begins as Jacobs comes out in the 1-3-1 zone. Schmidt has to adjust.
10 to go in the half. Now 5 to shoot. Blocked by Elohim. Carlisle's got it. It's good if it goes from beyond half court. And so close off the front of the rim. Well, it was a challenge 3 at the other end. Good defense by the FAU Owls, and Kanan Carlisle almost got this crowd. They have 6 assists on 13 turnovers and 9 offensive rebounds. All of the key target areas in analytics are going well for John Jacobs, but they're down by 2. St. Bonaventure's first true road game of the year.
Rich, all true, but let's call it like it is here for Florida Atlantic. They are not playing at the pace they want to play. They want to play at an 80, 90-point pace, especially in this building. And St. Bonaventure has done a nice job of defending and taking away easy baskets for Florida Atlantic.
That was the second foul on Devin Vanderpool, who had 6 points in the first half.
If you're going to beat a John Jacobs coach team, it better be at 75 or less.
10 on the shot clock for the Bonnies. Here's Grahovic. Gives it off to Caden Charles, who led all scorers with 9. Now 3 to shoot. Grahovic up and in. First 2 of the game for the big redhead.
Frank Mitchell, a little inside pass there to Grahovic. Grahovic had a tough first half. Comes out strong to start the second half.
Here's Kanan Carlisle. The skip pass in the corner. Pintalon for 3, in and out.
A good block off right there.
And the Bonnies hustling down the floor the other way, and Frank Mitchell gets rewarded for his efforts.
Frank Mitchell, that's a 1-2 thing. That's wanting to get down the floor and beat everybody. Look, he's not a sprinter out there, but he sprints the floor as well as most big guys and beat everybody down the floor. That's effort.
6 points, 5 boards for Big Frank. Here's Elohim from the elbow. No, the tip-in not good either. And Grahovic grabs the rebound. We've seen some energy from Joe Grahovic in the early going.
Grahovic has really started off this second half. I got to think that Mark Schmidt had a man-to-man discussion with him at halftime.
Here's Grahovic for three. You betcha!
Joe Grahovic has answered that challenge.
A 7-0 Bonnie's run. 5 of them come.
The easy way out, I was a quitter. He decided to change his mindset to deal with reality, and man, his reality today is looking a lot brighter than it ever did living in that truck, delivering hay.
He was playing with a bunch of grown-ups at a 24-hour fitness club when someone noticed him and said, hey, you should play in the Drew Summer League, which is where all the NBA players go and play. He held his own, he impressed enough people that Perry Webster, the head coach for Fullerton, took a shot on him and said, you give me 12 months, I'm gonna change your life.
And Adrian Wojnarowski, who's the general manager of the Bonnies, you can see the jump shot go down from Vanderpool, recognized that this was a special kid who needed a chance, and somehow, some way, he's playing a St. Bonaventure uniform today. I asked him, what would Joe Grahovic from 3 years ago tell Joe today? He said, no way. He can't believe he's here.
Mitchell blocked from behind. By the way, our friend Woj, former ESPN colleague, is here, as he is for virtually every St. Bonaventure game. He's their general manager. And the reason that the Joe Grahovics of the world are getting a chance. Same story with Frank Mitchell.
Also didn't play any high school basketball, was actually a hockey player coming up through his youth. And he plays like a defenseman with a chip on his shoulder. Very physical 0-0 in Brown today for the St. Bonaventure Bonnies.
He has 8, does Mitchell. There's another 3, this time from number 3, Amar Mku.
Boy, Amar Mku has come up big in the first half off the offensive glass, now showing some range from deep.
2 early threes by the Owls, a good sign. Spin move, Big Frank in double digits with 10.
He plays with such a fierce edge to his game. He's my favorite player in college basketball because of the way that he approaches the game.
And that footwork due in large part to the fact that he was a hockey player growing up in Toronto. Ten on the shot clock for Moretti, guarded by Grahovic. Now they switch back. Big Frank trying to clutch shut him down, and he does. Here's Grahovic. Thought about the transition 3.
Smart decision, though. He tried to do too much in the second half. He's settling down here, or in the first half, excuse me, settling down here in the second half.
Here's Buddy Simmons. Aiton Brown working on Carlisle. Step back. Off the back iron, and Moretti clears.
Great defense by Kanan Carlisle, rewarding right here.
At the other end, Simmons with the foul. Carlisle will go to the line. Well, Frank the Tank is like a Dan Bonaventure.
So the key is, how does he do his job? He looks for players who want growth and development. He wants those kind of guys like Grahovic and Mitchell, who did not play in high school. He wants to find a fit for Mark, as in Mark Schmidt. He wants guys that want to be at St. Bonaventure to unpack their bags and be here. I asked him, why would you leave being the #1 reporter of the NBA to go be the GM at St. Bonaventure? He looked me square in the eye and said, I love this place. There's nowhere else I'd rather be.
You know, for those of you who aren't that familiar with St. Bonaventure, the way that I would describe it, the way that Woj feels about it, it's almost like how Green Bay is to the NFL. The whole town, the whole region of Green Bay, Wisconsin, feels like they have ownership of that franchise, of that team. And the people of New York, upstate New York, where Olean is, feel that way about the Bonnies.
Yeah, I coached in Pullman, Washington, where Washington State was its own entity, and such tremendous loyalty at St. Bonaventure, like at Washington State. You could feel it in the Palouse Pullman. You can feel it when you're at St. Bonaventure on their campus.
Bonnies up 5 in their first true road game, make it 7 and a chance for 8.
What did Adrian Wojnarowski bring to this team? He brought a feeling of wanting to be here. This is Caden Charles, a Division II transfer from North Georgia who appreciates everything about being a Bonnie.
Completes the three-point play. Caden Charles leads all scorers with a dozen.
The Woj bombs are exploding now in the Atlantic 10. This is an interesting roster that Coach Schmidt and Adrian have put together here.
And it's not like they have a limitless fund for NIL. They just have to spend what money they have wisely, and they have. And there's an up and under for Amar Amku, who's really contributed today, a new season high with 9.
He speaks French and Wolof and English, and in any language, Amku has been tremendous today. This kid's come off the bench regularly for them, but again, he knows his role. Really nice little lift fake right there. Draws defenders and has the basketball IQ to go to the backside rim to take away the shot block opportunity from St. Bonaventure. Really well done.
You know, it's funny, John Jacobs really didn't think that Amar Amku was going to play for them much this year, if at all. He was injury prone the year before, came back a lot earlier than everyone on the Florida Atlantic campus anticipated.
Rich, he's known as a really long defender, kind of a designated defender that can defend 5 different positions. Offensively, he's hard to guard.
Off the front end on the second free throw from Mitchell. It's a 6-point St. Bonaventure lead. We're going to move to 6-1 in the non-conference and complete a very successful trip to the Sunshine State. There's Vanderpool trying to spoil that story.
It's a guy that averaged 2 points a game 1 year ago, now over 16 points per game, Devin Vanderpool.
The lone Dusty May holdover.
Yep. Just decided to stay and work his butt off to get better, and he is so much better.
DeSante Bowen, no. Vanderpool clears.
Bad shot, forced shot.
Now transition for the Owls. The one more, Amku, got it! Timeout, St. Bonaventure. The Ellie is alive.
Most people think these are 2 good basketball teams.
Vanderpool with 11, Amku with 12. And that foul on Kanan Carlisle is going to be his second.
Two really good teams with 2 unselfish cultures. These teams share the ball, they move the ball as well as anybody, especially in November.
Good hands by Vanderpool with the deflection. And Imakov lost the handle.
Ball moves, there it is.
Moretti thought 3. Good fake by Carlisle, a wide open Moretti. This place would have come unhinged if that one went down.
But see how when Florida Atlantic senses the defense is chasing them, they make it chase it even more?
Now Lenati cans a 3 to silence the crowd.
And Lenati came in off the bench, hit a big 3 in the first half, answers again here in the second half.
7 for Lenati. The lead is 4 for the Bonnies. Stolen away by Lenati. And the flush at the other end.
Well, the layup at the other end. But Lenati just with good anticipation. Contributing in multiple ways, number 20 in Brown for St. Bonaventure.
Carlisle. Blocked by Osasui.
Osasui devoured that shot.
And Amku goes down away from the basketball. This is like a middleweight championship fight. Trading haymakers in the second half.
Andrew Osasui, now why does he get here? I'll tell you why. He's got condor arms, 7'4" wingspan. And those condor arms just made him every inch count.
Talk about another find for Woj and the Bonnies program.
Yeah.
He's only played 3.5 years of basketball.
It just keeps getting better. And I've watched St. Bonaventure all the way through this November run. They just keep getting better.
Skip pass picked off by Vanderpool. Oh, and Mark Schmidt almost hits the deck. Devin Vanderpool showing some love for Mark Schmidt as the two. An Atlantic 10 and an American Conference matchup that is going toe-to-toe and looks like it's going to go down to the wire. Alongside Mark Adams, I'm Rich Hollenberg inside the Eleanor R. Baldwin Arena on the campus of Florida Atlantic University, the Florida Atlantic Owls and the St. Bonaventure Bonnies. It's the Bonnies with a 6-point lead in their first road game of the season. Good hands, tipped away by Charles, taken away by Lenati.
Ill-advised pass. No seam in that defense there, nothing but hands in the way.
Here's Irmakov, the young Russian.
Boy, a lot of dribbling on this possession. That's atypical of St. Bonaventure.
Catch and release, Lenati hit the deck late. And they are going to call the foul on Florida Atlantic. That's going to go on Isaiah Elahim.
Well, Lenati has found a way to get open time and time again. And a little bit of incidental contact there leads to the free throw opportunities for Lenati.
So too. First free throw is good. Coming up Tuesday night and Wednesday, or Tuesday night, I should say, on ESPN2. Don't miss our featured women's basketball matchup as top-ranked UConn takes on USF. Coverage begins at 5 Eastern on ESPN2 and the ESPN app.
Gino Ariema has an entire roster, it seems, of Wooden Award candidates.
We saw that USF Bulls logo. Everyone talking about how Lane Kiffin is leaving Ole Miss for LSU. Alex Golish, the USF head coach, is leaving the Bulls for the Auburn Tigers as well. That foul is going to be on Abunaway, his second.
Xander Pintalon at 6'11", 220 pounds from Belgium. Really runs the floor well. And this guy with his size and when he gains strength, he's always kind of been a role player in all the international teams he's played for. But now, John Jacobs wants him to be even more aggressive, to be that guy that they can go to. He's showing signs of getting there.
It's been a fixture in their starting lineup this year, 22 minutes a game for Pintalon.
He's got a little nasty in him too.
Yeah,
watched
a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, he's not afraid to throw him around a little bit.
Those elbows are sharp.
Yeah,
for Xander Pintalon. Those two free throws bring Florida Atlantic to within 5. Charles had it blocked by Devin Williams. That's 4 blocks for Williams this afternoon. Carlisle can't finish at the other end.
Yeah, Florida Atlantic averages 6 blocks per game.
And Pintalon chases it down. Tell you, Mark, I was here for their season opener against Boston College.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of the same thing in this game. Florida Atlantic gets a lot of looks from close range that they don't convert on necessarily. That 3 off the mark. Pintalon comes away with it. A fresh 20 seconds for the Owls.
Good nose for the ball by the big Belgian. Reward him.
There he is with the reward.
Talked about giving it to the hot hand. Also, give it to the guy who gives you a hustle play on the offensive glass.
And how about this, Mark? 16-2 edge in second chance points for the Owls. That's what's keeping them in this ballgame.
Well, Pintalon, one of those long international players that knows a three ball when he sees it.
Bonnie's a 2-point edge. Now it's a 4-point edge. Abunaway with another bucket. He has 9.
Abunaway over Pintalon right there. Carlisle wants a screen. Nobody recognizes it.
Pull up, mid-range.
That's why he wanted it. He wanted that matchup with Frank Mitchell one-on-one. He recognized it. That's why he wanted Colin begging for that screen.
3 straight 20-point games for Caden Carlisle. He's got 7 today. And that foul is going to go on Elohim.
Now, Pintalon has been the story in this second half as he's knocking down 3 balls, getting offensive rebounds. Look, it's the effort. When you see a guy that's got it going, and then obviously recognizing when you have a mismatch and taking advantage of that mismatch, that time by Carlisle.
Caden Charles with 12. That leads the Bonnies this afternoon, and now he's got a baker's dozen. A glue guy type is how they would describe Caden Charles. He's looked like a star for much of this game today.
Yeah, he has been a go-to guy for this basketball team today. He's just been, offensively, he's been so energized. Again, Rich, you know, look, Mark Schmidt is having to reach into his bag of tricks and find some fresh legs. And Caden Charles not only has fresh legs, but he has active athletic legs as well.
All the folks back in Olean watching this game are going, yeah, cry me a river. They're in the Sunshine State. They spent a couple of days in Fort Myers, and now they're in Boca Raton. Travel takes a toll on
it. It does. It does. Illegal screen.
That's going to go on Moretti. One thing you and I both know, the folks watching from Olean, New York, love their town. They love their Bonnies.
Going right there. They don't love Moretti much, who just turned sideways and just laid out Charles on that illegal screen.
And while they mop up the floor where the bodies hit the deck, Mark Schmidt getting a little extra coaching in.
Well, you've got Bowen, number 5, who's been really good off the dribble. You got Simmons, the second, also. You got 2 really quick guards that can get the ball in the paint off the dribble. And then you got big Frank Mitchell inside, number 00. Typically, Mark Schmidt always loves to run it through Mitchell.
8 minutes to go in regulation. This game's been played in a tight window the entire way.
There he is.
Tried to hand it off. Abunaway got it back. And the floater goes for Bowen.
There's the dribble penetration late in the shot clock.
Desante Bowen only averaging 5.7 a game, has 8 today against the Owls.
Care of this promo and pay that thing off the right way. I mean, look, John Shire's won over 81% of his games. Duke has beaten Texas by 15, Kansas by 12, Arkansas by 9, and they're undefeated. I think there's a good reason to watch Duke, not to mention Cam Boozer.
Abunaway in transition after a Florida Atlantic turnover. And that's going to be on Caden Carlisle, his 3rd.
You know, not securing the basketball, and St. Bonaventure more than happy to take the ball down the other end. Abunaway has been a guy that's been able to shoot the ball well for them. He's come up big for them against East Carolina, was 5 for 6 in that game. Now, late game situations where every possession counts, Florida Atlantic coughs it up.
Abunaway with 9. First free throw doesn't go down. No one's going to confuse this Bonnie's team being elite offensively, Mark, but they're shooting 58% from the field today.
Oh, they share the ball so well, Rich. That's the thing. They move the basketball, they're selfless, and they know who their best players are, even possession by possession, as to who's hot and who isn't.
That's going to be a hand check foul on Desante Bowen. So let's talk a little bit about Florida Atlantic. What do they need to do to get over this hump? They're trailing by 6 now.
I think pace is always important when you talk about Florida Atlantic and John Jacobs. Look, this is a program that wins games when they score 75 or more, and they lose games when they score 74 or more. They need better pressure, better defense, more turnovers to get out and running like this crowd loves them to do.
They've had a balanced scoring attack this afternoon. Now Kaden Carlisle has 9.
But here's where they have to dig in and make plays.
Mitchell. Abunaway with that sideways rotation off the mark.
He's wide open. See, St. Bonaventure's done a great job of getting back, Rich. That's been the problem for Florida Atlantic, to manufacture those points in their fast break sequences. Credit the Bonnies.
Carlisle weaving through traffic, had it blocked by Charles.
Was that an athletic play?
Abunaway working on Carlisle with 3 fouls, and he leaned right into him and got called for the offensive.
Let's go back to the block by Charles. Look, he's beat on this play. He's beat by a full step. Has the athleticism to recover and the grit to go get the basketball. Never gave up on the play.
Did you agree with that offensive foul call?
Here's what I've seen. You bump him once, you bump him twice, the defender knows it, and then dives. I've seen that called 3 different times just this week, Rich. Might have even been in your game against Dayton.
Here's Vanderpool.
That's a pass to yourself. That's illegal, ladies and gentlemen. Can't do that.
I think he thought he could throw it off Devin Williams' backside and then pick it back up.
Well, that would have been creative, that's
Crafty.
for sure. Yeah, been creative.
Again, Devin Vanderpool playing against the St. Bonaventure's team, a team whose uniform was worn by his dad, David, a Hall of Famer with the Bonnies.
Now, this is right in Mark Schmidt's wheelhouse. Make the defense play through the shot clock, look for inside-out basketball, keep moving the ball, keep making the defenders adjust.
Mitchell, top of the key. Pulls his way in, and it's in and out. Vanderpool, another rebound, but it's given away. Lenati, yes! Huge 3 by St. Bonaventure.
Caden Charles with the assist. The extra effort of St. Bonaventure, that's why they're ahead right now by 7.
Points coming from unexpected places. And there's an and one answer from Devin Vanderpool.
The ball moves right here, and Caden Charles was the guy that made it happen. They get the loose ball through Mitchell, and then all of a sudden on the opposite end, look at this, just head up, find Lenati, who's been hot. That's a Mark Schmidt staple, where you find the guy that's hot and you give him the basketball, and then give the ball to your best player. If you're down, give it to your best player, let him make a play. Devin Vanderpool.
And he completes the 3-point play, 14 for Vanderpool. But his Owls are still down 4. Caden Charles with 14, Achille Lenati with 13 to lead the Bonnies.
Now, St. Bonaventure wants to play at this pace. They want to make Florida Atlantic play defense.
Charles blocked. Another one by Williams. That's his 5th block this afternoon. All alone, Amku. Too strong on that 3, and it's snared by Mitchell.
Every time now, everything turns into a half-court set for St. Bonaventure. They've been on the road 3 games in 6 days. They don't want pace. They want to slow this game into a half-court set. Wow!
Under
Wide
4
open.
to go, and Mitchell will go to the free throw line. Well, we'll catch our breaths.
League in person as we go through the conference schedule starting in January. It's a great, great college basketball league.
And interestingly enough, Phil Martelli Jr. doing a great job at VCU
Yeah,
Richmond.
VCU.
He had hired Mark Schmidt's son, Nick, to come over and be an assistant on his staff. And then when a spot opened on Mark's staff, Nick Schmidt said, I got to go coach for Dad.
Yep.
And there he is.
Yep. Now, one thing you have to be willing to do as a head coach is hire assistant coaches who are going to be better than you. Maybe right now or in the future, doesn't matter. Both these staffs loaded with coaching talent.
Devin Vanderpool grabbed that last rebound, Mark. He's got himself a double-double this afternoon,
Yeah,
14 and 10.
One of the hardest working guys in college basketball during the offseason. Devin Vanderpool has received Moretti go to the rim right there.
That's going to be the third foul on the Bonnie's point guard, Desante Bowen.
And Devin Vanderpool, number 22 in white, worked so hard in the offseason, stayed here, was one of Dusty May's holdover, redshirted for a year, got up every morning, was in the gym with his father, who's a St. Bonaventure Hall of Famer, and was able to improve his game and his confidence just brick by brick.
Now the lefty, Nico Moretti, rolls that free throw home. Every one of these valuable. A 4-point game with 3:38 to go.
How many guys have stayed another year to be a backup point guard? That's what Nico Moretti has done for this team and for John Jacobs. And that's stability for Florida Atlantic.
1 for 2. And Mitchell. Not too many players in America are going to grab that rebound away from Frank Mitchell.
No human ones. Might be a few hockey players that could wrestle it from him.
Mitchell with 11 points and 8 rebounds this afternoon. Four-point lead for St. Bonaventure coming up on 3 minutes to go. Number 3 fires away, and Abunier off the mark, but Mitchell cleans it up.
Yeah, Mitchell is so good. When the ball's in flight and everybody watches the ball, he gets physical inside, and he gets position because of it.
2 points off his season average of 16. Frank Mitchell's got 14 today. Now Moretti. Calls his own number that time, and Mitchell clears. 1 rebound shy of his own double-double.
What a monster. Frank Mitchell. He can barely run up and down the floor right now, but he can go get you a rebound.
And Carlisle whistled for his 4th foul.
Why is Frank Mitchell such a good offensive rebounder? As the ball's in flight, watch 0-0 and Brown. He makes contact right there, and he gets position right there. That's why he gets the offensive rebounds. As soon as the ball leaves the fingertips of the shooter, he anticipates, makes physical contact to get position. Proactive response to a shot.
And I owe Frank Mitchell an apology. I shorted him 1 rebound, so he now has his 5th double-double of the season. 13 points and 10 rebounds for 0 in Brown.
Remember DeJuan Blair?
Oh, yeah, from Pitt.
Swanigan from Purdue, Carl Hall from Wichita State during their Final Four run back in the mid-2000s with Greg Marshall. This kid is those guys reincarnated. He just goes after it. The hockey defenseman plays basketball with that edge.
2 free throws from Bowen.
Didn't play high school basketball. Was a hockey player. He's one of the best rebounders in America.
Here's Vanderpool. Got the 3. 17 for Devin Vanderpool.
Give it to your best player. Let him make a play. Devin Vanderpool.
Averaging over 19 a game in the Owls' last 5. They're going to need him down the stretch. 2 minutes to go.
St. Bonaventure is now going to suck seconds every single possession.
Offensive foul, we're going the other way. That one's on Mitchell.
Yep, you got to be set. Boy, that's close.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who that was.
Not a whole lot of contact.
Not much there. In fact, tried to avoid contact.
Here's Vanderpool. Ball's in the hands of the right man. He feeds Pintalon. Vanderpool working on Charles. Pintalon catch and release. It looked good off his hand, but Mitchell has another rebound.
Yeah, Pintalon really shot that with confidence. It didn't go down, but I love his confidence on the shot.
11 boards for Frank the Tank. And he's got 17 tonight. 75, a magic number for these Owls. Right now, they're a ways away from that.
Yep. We anticipate a lower scoring game would be in favor of St. Bonaventure.
Mitchell, up and under, no good. And it's 5-on-4 now for the Owls if they could take advantage. Williams got it, and Williams throws it down.
From Vanderpool with the assist.
One possession ball game, 50 seconds to go in regulation.
Now Mark Schmidt wants Frank Mitchell to go down on the block and just do dirty work. When the shot goes up, sometimes not the first shot, second shot. Watch 0-0 as the shot goes up.
Here's Mitchell. 5 on the timer. Abunaway lost it. Pintalon has it. Shot clock is off. Owls with the ball down 3. And a timeout called by John Jacobs. Florida Atlantic. And 5 for 14 in the half. Vanderpool inbounds. And it's Carlisle with the ball. Shot clock is off. Here's Elohim. Lost the handle, and the Bonnies have it. And Elohim, who lost the ball and caused the turnover, commits the foul as well.
You know, Elohim is a guy that's inexperienced. And to catch the ball in that situation, he's played well. But he's also a guy that doesn't have some of the late game experience that Vanderpool, who threw it inside, gave it to him. Vanderpool's been around a little bit longer.
And now Caden Charles, the former D2 star from North Georgia, who leads these Bonnies in scoring today with 14 points. Now 15.
We talked about how this guy appreciates everything. Now he can return that to St. Bonaventure with a made free throw right here.
A chance to potentially salt this one away. And he gets it to go. And a timeout called with 10.9 left in regulation from Boca Raton. What a game by 24 and Brown, Caden Charles. The Owls 40-7 inside this building since 2022. One of the best home court advantages in the nation in that time. But they are on the ropes right now. Here's Vanderpool. Time running down. They got to go quick. And an elbow, and Mitchell's going to be whistled for the foul, much to the consternation of Mark Schmidt right in front of us.
Yeah, the worst thing that could happen right there just happened. As Frank Mitchell, again, didn't play high school basketball. We've talked about the kudos of Frank Mitchell, but the common sense right there doesn't add up. As Mark Schmidt would say, well, you see Mark Schmidt in the background. Hands up, no foul, no foul, no foul. And there's the reaction from Mark Schmidt right there. And it's the right reaction. That is not a smart basketball play.
Front end of the 1-and-1 off the mark. Elohim grabs it. They got to go. Carlisle, 3. Off the mark. And St. Bonaventure comes into Boca Raton and walks out of the Sunshine State with a huge road win.